Consider the following question. Does being just 6 months older give you an advantage over someone? Think about that for a sec. We'll revisit this in just a moment. You see, every once in a while comes a book that blows your mind. The type of book that allows you to have a realization. It turns out where you're born, the year you're born in, your parents' occupation, whether they're divorced or still together, matters more than we'd like to admit. Allow me to explain. Often, when we think of successful people, we love to hear the stories of the self-made man or woman, those who, despite all odds, were able to climb to the top thanks to sheer willpower, discipline, and hard work. But there is one essential component often not mentioned in these stories. Successful people had opportunities, aka luck, at their disposal. Opportunities which they seized and had to follow through with hard work. For successful people, life is full of invisible advantages and opportunities. I know this because as I was reading the book, I realized I could, in a weird way, relate to this. This is not to say that I am quote-unquote successful. I was objectively successful academically while at school. And nowadays, I do like to think of myself as successful when comparing myself to my previous self. Back to the question at the beginning of this video. Does being just 6 months older give you an advantage over someone? I'm 33 and I don't necessarily think that I have any advantage over someone who's 32 and a half. But I think the correct answer actually is, it depends. Now, imagine that 6-month gap when you're just 4 years old. Here's a list of the Czech Republic under-20s hockey team that played in the 2007 World Championships. At first sight, it's just that, a list. But upon close examination, we can see that a whopping 50% of the players were born in the months between January and March. That's half of the team being born in the first 3 months of the year. The other 50% of the players were born in the remaining months of the year. This is all in the book, by the way. It turns out for these kids, the cutoff date to get into the team is December 31st. It means that if you're born in January, you're 9 months older than, say, a kid born in September. At such a young age, that's a huge advantage. Not only are you more physically and mentally developed, but you get all of the attention because you can outplay the rest of your younger teammates. Getting more attention from the coach leads to more and better training, which leads to moving up the hierarchy on the leagues, where you practice more times per week, getting you into the junior leagues, and from there, into the big leagues. None of this is to say that if you were born in January, you will be instantly a successful hockey player. No, all other elements have to be there as well. You have to have innate talent. Your parents have to support you. And most importantly, you have to put in the work. But still, do you see how the month you're born in hugely determines the possibility of success in the sport? And all because of some arbitrary cutoff date. So why was this a revelation for me? As a young kid, I always did well in school. Nearly every year, I took home with me a distinction for top academic performance. I carried that through high school, and at university, I got excellent grades, which led to a scholarship and not having to pay tuition fees for a good portion of my studies. From there, I got another scholarship to study a postgrad in England. And how could I not? I obviously had talent for schoolwork. But many other kids have that as well. What else did I have? Well, for starters, I had a mother who was a stay-at-home mom, with lots of time at her disposal to focus on me, and she happened to be extremely demanding, so obviously I was going to do well. Please don't take this as bragging. I am trying to make a point so that I can explain what this book is about. Now imagine the opposite. Young Lucas living with a single mother who works multiple jobs to make ends meet.
The number of children living in poverty increased by 3.7 million.
I wish I had a well-paying job where I could make ends meet.
And it's especially important that we get single moms back into the workforce.
All of a sudden, that kid with innate talent has no opportunity to develop. Then we're talking a completely different story. What I'm trying to say is, I had innate talent, but I was also lucky to have a mother who was willing to push me and send me to a good school. Take a world-known example, Bill Gates.
This is the richest man on earth.
Some say it is the most successful company in the most dazzling new industry of the century.
The success of Microsoft over the last 10 years.
Love him or hate him, his success is undeniable. He was the son of wealthy parents. His school was one of the first to have a computer at around a time when computing time was precious and expensive. But a series of events made him the only 13-year-old with unlimited access to a time-sharing terminal in 1968, exactly at the time when Bill was spending all of his spare time learning how to program. While still a teenager, he had already accumulated more than 10,000 hours of programming, the amount necessary to be considered an expert in any field. He obviously put in the work, but there is no denying that the cosmos aligned for him just as the computer revolution was about to happen. Even Bill Gates himself talks about how lucky he was.
I was lucky enough when I was quite young to have an exposure to computers, which were very expensive and kind of limited.
In the book, Malcolm, the author, makes it very clear that without hard work, there is no success. There's no way around that. But beneath the surface of the seemingly direct path to success, there is a hard-working individual who also got a lot of help along the way. Most of that help came in the form of opportunity. That's the harsh truth. That is the reason why we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to others. We each have our own path. The only individual you should be comparing against is your past self. See you in the next one.